The question for today is Ashes of Creation Alpha 2 going to get delayed? Now, I actually think no, but I'll tell you why it might and what's happened to trigger this video. So let's talk about it. So if you don't know, Ashes of Creation right now is currently scheduled to have an Alpha 2 in Q3. Margaret and Stephen on the live streams seem to be pretty confident that Q3 is the date. They're happy with it. Everybody's thinking it's going ahead. Now, when is Q3? Q3 is July, August, September. Now, let's be honest, it's probably not going to be July. We're in sort of mid-June. And if it was going to be July, then I think we probably would have heard something by now. That's just a guess, right? I don't think they're just going to drop it on us. I think they'll give us a bit of time, they'll give us a date, and they'll lead into it. So for me, I'm personally now ruling out July. If there's a surprise announcement, then great, fantastic. And then the next month in the list is August. Now, I'm not sure about August. There's a chance that it could come in early August, but mid to late August at this point, I'm going to rule out. And why might that be, Jay? None of you ask. Well, that's because The War Within, the latest WoW expansion, has had its release date announced as being the 26th of August. And there is precedent of Stephen changing an alpha date because of the competition, so that people aren't distracted and Alpha 2 can have its full focus. That happened with Alpha 1. I don't remember what game they moved it for. It was probably New World, but I mean, they probably shouldn't have moved it for New World, especially with the recent disaster announcements. But, you know, it was probably New World. Either way, they moved it and it had its own launch time that didn't really get impacted by other things. So I think August, and it's the latest announcement by WoW that sort of got me a little bit apprehensive. If it's late August that they're doing their expansion, how close to that will Ashes of Creation want to go? I don't think it's going to be the early side of Q3. I never did. I think it's going to be the later side of Q3. And that puts us in September. Well, it probably won't be the first week of September, potentially. Maybe that'll be too close to the WoW expansion still. So the middle of September, late September is looking likely. And honestly, there's practically speaking probably two main reasons why Ashes of Creation Alpha 2 could end up being delayed. One of them is the competition. Now, we spoke about The War Within. Yes, that's coming in August. It could be that more games are going to come out around this time and in September. I think it's very unlikely that Dune Awakening will actually release this early, but in theory, they're doing a developer update on the 20th of June. They could announce a release date. We also have Soulframe. They're doing a developer diary, I think, at TanoCon, which I think is the 20th of July, all about Soulframe. Again, we could end up with a date there, and September is not necessarily impossible. And yes, whilst I don't think Stephen will really be that bothered about a New World update, New World is having its update on the 15th of October. So there is a very nice window at the minute that would put it in September. Sort of mid to late September, I think that would be perfect. It's Q3 still. And yeah, if something comes along, maybe they'll move it around, maybe they won't. They could, of course, surprise us all, right? It could be a massive surprise. Alpha 2 could end up being July or even August, just the early side of August. Obviously, that would be fantastic because then we actually get to play it. But I think if that would happen, we would definitely get the announcement this month. If we don't get the announcement this month, then the announcement would already be in late July. So yeah, for me, it would end up being September. Now, the alternative reason that it would be delayed, we sort of touched upon at the start, and that is that Alpha 2 is not ready. But from what Stephen was saying in the live streams, it sounds like they're hitting all the milestones that they need to hit for Alpha 2 to go live. So in that regard, I'm not too worried. Obviously, if something starts breaking and they're just not happy and there's a delay, then they may have to push it back. I don't think they would want to push it back because once you get into like October, November, December, there's just an absolute shed ton of games everywhere. Maybe not a shed ton of MMOs because there's not a shed ton of MMOs just in general, but there's a lot of games. Maybe you don't want to go in that period. Maybe you do. Personally, I think they could get away with it because there's not much MMO-wise in those 3 months, but maybe if it does end up getting delayed for that reason, they'll not do it in that period, and it could get delayed to like January, February. I don't think that's happening. I think September is looking pretty set at the minute. Personally, I think if I was a betting man, I would pick September. I would love to be wrong if it's earlier, but I would hate to be wrong if it's later, because that means there's a delay. And if I'm honest, I can't really make that topic last any longer than what I've just spoke about. So what I will very quickly talk about is how long I think Alpha 2 might last. So one thing that the devs have been talking about on their streams is that Alpha 2 is going to be around for a long time. Well, if Alpha 1 to Alpha 2 took 3 years, then I personally think that Alpha 2 will be around for at least 2 years. Some people are thinking it might be around for 1. I think that's pure hopium copium. I think 2 years minimum is what I would expect, but it's really hard to judge because once they actually have the systems in place, I personally think it might be easier, and I know I'm not a dev, so I actually don't want to speak out of turn here, but I think it might be easier to create the extra landmass where the content will take place. Like if you have a system that you can designate as a war, maybe it's quite easy to repeat that in a different biome. If you have caravan locations that go from A to B or what have you, maybe it's easier to just put that in a biome if you've already done the coding. Whilst not every system that is going to be in the launch game is going to be in Alpha 2, a lot of them are going to be there. Obviously, new systems will come in Alpha 2, that's like its main primary purpose, but then the content's going to be added, the locations and the biomes will get added, and it's possible that actually we won't see all of the biomes being tested. Who knows, maybe they'll actually try and keep things a secret. I'm still a little bit confused about Alpha 2 in the sense that they're not currently available for sale. I think once people see the game, a lot of people are going to want to buy in, and I think they're missing an opportunity of selling that. I could see them relatively quickly opening it up once they've seen how many servers they have, and to be honest, a lot of people are going to play it for maybe like a week and then just go away. Yes, while you've paid your $250 or even higher, once you've seen the game, once you've played the game, if you know it's getting wiped, who really wants to be dedicating that amount of time? Maybe you, maybe me, maybe because I'm a content creator, but did the average players want to do that? Well, maybe not, but did the average backers? Maybe, it's possible. If you do want to dedicate that time to Alpha 2, or going forward into any of the future ones, then make sure you sign up to my Discord and join me in my EU guild. I'm sure we'll have a fabulous time. What an insane sales pitch. I mean, how could you refuse? But yeah, let me know your thoughts about this alpha. Do you think it's getting delayed? Do you think they will deliberately try and swerve World of Warcraft? I mean, it's possible. World of Warcraft doing a weird time slot. Often I think it's normally like November, but this time they're going in August. Yeah, let's see what they do. I still think September. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, especially after I lost like 10 subs on stream the other day, then I'm saying September. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For now, big shout out to my Patreons, I really appreciate you guys. And big shout out to my Twitch subs, by the way. At the minute, I'm still streaming New World, but that is definitely changing at some point soon, I think, because of, yeah, well, let's not talk about that. Have the most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.